So Threads is seriously on the come up. It's continuing to outpace X when it comes to total daily active users on mobile. Ads are finally coming to OpenAI and ChatGPT. We thought that was going to happen, but it's now finally here. And we're going to talk about Steph's new setup, because you in a new space. You literally built out an apartment. Well, we got a lot to talk about. And I didn't feel like doing a regular intro, so this is what y'all get today. This is, I will say this is episode 211 of the Tech Jawn from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl, Tech Life Steph.
And something tells me that Brother Tech is somewhere watching a football game now. I don't know. I can't. You know what? He might not actually at me, because he really is not into college football like that. But it is the national championship, so yeah, he let us know. It's like, hey, I might not be around the setup around showtime. So instead of making us wait for him, he said, go ahead and go without us. But that gives us the opportunity to kind of just have some conversation. So let's kick it off with talking about, we've talked about this multiple times on the show, but you own a duplex, you lost the tenant, and you decided, you know what, I'm going to move down to the bigger apartment. So you redid it, but you got the opportunity to build your studio out. So tell us how that is going, because you looking good. You looking good.
I mean, thank you. It's about time, right? So it's not necessarily a bigger apartment. The apartments are actually both the same size. But what I ended up doing downstairs was moving a wall back. So I took out my linen closet and my bedroom closets to move that wall back to make a bigger living room space. Because previously, and it was just, it was working as well as it could, but my mother was living with me, and my part of my bedroom was my quote unquote studio. So there was, 2/3 of the bedroom was bedroom, and then a third of it was all studio. So every time you saw those, white bookcases behind me, and it was literally in a third of the bedroom, and just, camera magic, we make it work. But there was not a whole lot of space up there for all of the stuff that, usually constitutes an office. So I, again, got rid of my bedroom closet, got rid of my linen closet, on the far wall, pushed the wall back. So it gave me about a solid extra 4 feet of space, 3.5, 4 feet. Yeah, maybe about 4 feet, maybe 3.5, 4 feet of space, width wise. And then obviously you get the whole length of the wall. So now it's like I have a great room basically with, all living room stuff on one side of the room and all office studio stuff on the other side of the room. And it works, I think, as far as, because I had actually bought a screen, like kind of like a Chinese screen, but it was with plexiglass. It was a wood frame with plexiglass in the middle to keep get the light to come through. And I had it put on casters, and I was going to use that to kind of divide the room. And, if I had folks over and didn't want them to see all the office stuff, but as it turns out, I really, really like this unit in back of me. It sort of is a really nice furniture piece, on its own. And then the desk is still on wheels, so I can push this against the wall when I'm not using it. So you don't really need to necessarily divide anything. There's enough space in the great room to kind of keep the two areas separate without cutting it off with a physical barrier. So I just, I still have the screen. It's downstairs in the basement. I'm not necessarily thinking I need to use it, for anything for real. So yeah, took the closets out, made the thing. And since now, again, I got the whole thing. So it's like, let's go head on and step our game up with the setup.
So yeah, so that's the story you're going to tell. I'm going to tell a bit of a different story, because you have been using you have had this glorious camera that you use for your TV stuff. This is not like a camera that you don't know how to use. It's something that you've been using for years.
True.
But just
True,
like
true.
most of our audience listens, I don't need to look great or on camera, so I'm just going to use the face cam camera, which is actually a really really good camera. So the first thing I want to say is
It
that
is.
don't feel like you need to be like tech like Steph and go out and get you a $3,500 camera with $1,000 lens on it to look like she's looking on the Tech Giant. Anybody who's listening, I urge you to go take a look at the YouTube video if you don't regularly go over there, because Steph does look actually kind of nice. But here's how this camera came about. I know you was probably going to do it anyway, but here's how we got to it this week. We came back with our first episode after our little holiday hiatus. And Steph was like, dang, you and Terrance look real good. I can't have that. I can't have y'all brothers up here out look at me. So it's like, let me show him what the once professional model how she used to do it.
Listen, I just wanted to be uniform with the rest of the group. And like I said, I did all this work to get this new backdrop going and everything else. I would have been remiss had I not done everything I could do to make sure I was getting the best shot possible. Again, I have it. Why not use it? Camera is, it wasn't $3,500. I think I looked up the price when I first got it, when Canon sent this to me. I don't know, years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago now. There's actually a video on my YouTube with the unboxing. It's hilarious because I dropped the lens. It was like, oh shoot. But yeah, they just sent it to me. I just completely unsolicited. I was doing a lot more reviews and unboxing and stuff like that at the time. And it just showed up on my doorstep and I was like, oh snap, a camera. And I looked up the pricing. I think it was about $1,200 for the camera. This is the Canon EOS RP. So it was designed for web streaming and I think this was actually, it might have been during COVID. Truthfully, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I think they were trying to, because everybody had switched to virtual everything. I think they were trying to get into that game. So they came up with this particular camera and a software tool called the EOS Webcam Utility, which back then was not good. I mean, Canon, no disrespect, but that software sucked back then. So I never used it because it just wasn't working and it wasn't worth the trouble of trying to, I don't know if you could go in, I don't even know if it was adjustable back then, but I just know I was having a lot of issues with their software back then. So I was just like, I'm not using this. I'm not, when my webcam is just as good. And at that time, I had the best Logitech webcam that was available at the time. I don't have a Brio. I think Brother Tech is using a Brio right now for his webcam. But at the time, I had the best 1080p webcam that Logitech offered. So that's what I was using. And I was like, it's easy, USB, connection, as opposed to all this extra software and yada, yada, yada. So I just never used it. I mean, I would use it kind of as a second camera. If I was doing a review of something, I might put it on a rig and get a good shot of whatever I was unboxing or whatever. But it pretty much stayed in the camera bag for quite a bit of time until fast forward to when I was working with Merritt Street Media, Dr. Phil's network. I was like, you know what? It was a regular gig. I was their tech contributor. So, and all of the hits were virtual because their studios in Texas. So I was like, I think it might be time to step up my game. These people paying me, and I wanted to look like a legitimate contributor. So that's when I pulled the Canon back out. But at that time, I was using vMix, which, if anybody is not familiar, is like OBS, a similar type of software to OBS. And I was making that. The camera was running through vMix, and then into Zoom, and then out for broadcast. So it was fine. It was working. It looked amazing. but it was a lot to tweak the audio because the audio video sync in vmix is way off, but you can adjust it in the settings.
Mhm.
So I would adjust it in the settings and then do the hit and yada yada yada. But even that was just more work than I wanted to do on a weekly basis for the podcast. So I was just like, I don't need to do all that work, just to run my mouth for an hour on a podcast. And video is kind of extra. That's one of the extras. It's more audio anyway. So as long as my mic sounds good, I wasn't going to worry about it too much. But, now, like I said, now that I have, and again, all of this was in the context of being upstairs
Mhm.
in my bedroom in this much space.
Right.
So I'm not going to be going all out and trying to make that little space do a bunch of different things. But now that I have all the space and can do all the things, why not? Why not?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm going with my story. You is not gonna let Terrance and I look
Well,
better
and that
than you.
too. Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I was not. I
You're like,
was not. I
oh
was just like,
no, this is not gonna happen.
I'm looking real amateurish right now, and I did not like it. And I'm just like, it was just such a stark contrast with you, especially with me being in the middle of the box, and I see you guys and I'm like, I done all this work to get my space together and get my little stuff together, and I still look like, you know, I'm on my phone while they look like they, in studio somewhere. So it was time. It was more than time. It was beyond time for me to go ahead and get my big girl camera back out and do what I needed to do. So
So I do want to say this. And we are going to get to talking to some tech, but hey, you get what you get sometimes when it's just me and Steph, and we catching up because we have not really talked. So this is our opportunity to kind of catch up. But I do want to say this because a lot of folks that are looking to be creators, it
mhm.
seems like Steph, a lot of folks that are our age are like, okay, um, I like podcast or I like YouTube videos, and my very mid generation X, I want to learn how to do this. So a lot of folks like us are starting to do this, and I'm talking to friends and stuff like that. It's like, okay, I need to get one of them cameras you get. It's like, oh no, I got an FX3. You don't need an FX3 to do a podcast. I'm not even using the big camera. The big boy is over there, on the other side of the set. I'm using a
Mhm.
very, very nice camera for podcasting, way overkill for what you and I are doing right now, but I'm using the FX30 right now. But I do want to tell folks, you don't have to do this. You were using your FaceTime
Right.
cam for the 4 years we've been doing this show. That's what you pretty much have been using.
And it was working just fine.
Mhm.
Like, I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't
Yeah.
mad at it. It was just such a stark contrast to what you and Terrance are using. And, like I said, with everything else that I was upgrading, it just made sense because I can tell you I would not have gone to buy a camera to do this.
Mhm.
Like, just to be like, oh, Robb and Terrance's pictures are so nice, and I want my picture to look nice. Like, I wouldn't have went and bought a camera just for
And it
that.
wouldn't have taken this.
Like,
You could, you might have got a webcam. These webcams that they're building right now,
the
they
webcams are
look
great.
so good. I mean, they look so good. They
I will
really do.
tell you though, I'm about to shit on another product. I went and I went and got I ordered because I looked into, actually, I'm going to swing around, so forgive the audio and everything else you're gonna hear right now. But I'm gonna get up because this is live TV, y'all. So I was just going to get a better webcam because Terrance is using a webcam. I don't know, like I said, I think he has a Brio, but I think it might be something else. Terrance's webcam is exceptional. His webcam's really, really good. So I was like, if I can get away with getting that same type of picture quality with a webcam and a USB connection, then I'll just do that. I'm all about the path of least resistance. As
Mhm.
much as I love tech and, like to try out new gadgets and all that other stuff, I'm all about the path of least resistance. So if I could have gotten this type of picture quality with a webcam, I would have done it. So I went online, and I think Terrance had actually sent me his webcam, the link to his webcam. But I went online and started looking around, and I had gotten this. This is that PlexiCam This is that tool that lets you sit your webcam at your eye level on your machine. So this is just a stand, basically, like a stand, and it has a hook and it sits, kind of right here on your laptop or your monitor, and then the webcam sits on this. But you can adjust this plexicam to be in the middle of the screen so that it gets your eye line perfectly right with whatever streaming platform you're using. So when I was researching this, because I was like, I don't really want, the webcam that sits above your FaceTime camera on your computer. I was like, I still feel like eyeline is going to be a little janky. So I got that. And one of the recommendations I saw on Reddit to go with this plexicam was the Lumina. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm not.
The Lumina webcam. I don't know if it was like a little one of them CES, flash in a pan type Jawns or whatever, but it came recommended. A lot of people talked about it. Lumina, I think Lumina 4K is what it's called. So I did get that. I didn't think it was good at all. I don't know. And I definitely did not go in because I think the software was hella buggy, because there is software you can go in and kind of adjust some of the settings, try to get the picture quality as good as you can. But the software was super buggy. Like it was a no for me, dog. So I actually sent that back. I kept this because I still think at some point I probably will get a webcam, maybe. And maybe we'll need that to get the eyeline I want. But I think more likely I will get a better chair, because all of the, problems I've had to get this thing set up, a lot of the problems can be boiled down to the fact that my chair is way too low. And so I had to put my camera on a regular tripod instead of the desk tripod that I had. And that just kind of threw me all off, trying to get the eye line straight and, get the framing right. And I still don't like, what happened?
You raised your hands up and your camera turned off.
Oh, what is going on here now? Yeah, that's crazy. Let me see if I turn it off and turn it back on again. I don't know what happened.
And it's coming back. All right.
There we go. Is that a thing?
I don't know if you have like a head control or something like that, but yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well, there we go. We're back.
The point though that you was making is that, you might go back to a webcam. So
I think maybe if I can find a good one.
So Elgato like I said, is making some webcams now. Insta360 makes some really good ones. ObsBot, I am enamored with that company. What they are doing for as inexpensively as they're doing it, because they're actually creating little cameras that have full-fledged gimbals in them. So like you move and it's not just tracking you with software. The camera turns and tracks you. It's got a gimbal on it. And these things, they have real glass in them, so they look really, really good. And for the kind of show that we're doing, to where it's talking head, we're basically doing stuff on Zoom, for lack of better words. I mean, we're using StreamYard, right. But those kind of cameras are really, really, really good. So yeah, I'm glad that you get everything set up. You and I jumped on probably 15 minutes early just to make sure that you had everything going, and you look good. It does. It's like,
listen, I appreciate you. I had to break out the rig for the mic. Yeah. Like everything had to change. We had to step everything up. So
before you buy more cameras, the next thing is going to be lights. That's what I always tell folks.
Definitely, absolutely.
Lights. So we doing a trick right now to to do the Black people diffusion. We cannot put the softbox at you. Got to point the softbox at the ceiling and get some of that shine off us, because you're not able to turn down or turn up the color to warm it up. You basically can't warm up the color temperature, so we got to use tricks to get that done. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into a couple of stories. The one that kind of is catching my eye here, and I said this at the top, is Threads. Threads is really kind of on the come up right now. So there are some numbers that came out. According to SimilarWeb, Threads has an average of daily active users of 143.2 million global daily active users. That is up 38% year over year. And to put it in perspective, for those who don't remember, 2.5 years ago, Meta decided, like, you know what, let's copy Twitter, because what Elon is doing, Elon Musk bought Twitter about 3.5 years ago, and it's just been different. And there were,
Right.
Going back a couple 3 years ago, folks were doing mass defections. So Meta said, all right, well, let's just clone it and see what we can do. So they built Threads, and Threads has pretty much been, has been doing swimmingly well since it has come out.
Anti-Twitter.
And it is the platform that I spend most of my social media time on. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but that is the place. If I'm going to be on it, that's probably where I'm at. I don't use X or Twitter any longer. But the interesting thing here is that it is now caught in 2.5 years. It is caught, it's caught X as far as global daily actives on mobile. Now, to be fair, Twitter still destroys, or X still destroys, Threads on mobile. It's not even close. It's like, they probably have 100 million more per month. But when it comes to the way that a lot of people are using it, is usually on their mobile devices. This is actually, jumped in front of X, and is not even really close anymore.
So wait a minute. You say that again. You said you said X destroys Threads on mobile, but now you're saying on mobile.
On desktop. So
Okay.
X so people who are actually using X on the desktop, that still they still win there handily. But when it comes to mobile devices, using it on your phone, that is where Threads they took the lead, I want to say, for the first time back in September last year, and it's just increasing it. So you see a 38% year over year increase for Threads, and Twitter, they actually had almost almost a 9% decline year over year. So the numbers are going in the opposite direction.
Well, I mean, people are starting to realize that X is a toxic platform, number one, especially now with all the deep fakes that Grok is generating, and potential child sex abuse material that is allegedly popping up on the platform, and people just, having their photos taken and abused, and it's just not the best platform, I think, to be on right now, if you're not a white male, I mean, to be perfectly honest. So I think people were looking for something else. And then I think, the other smart thing that they did, that Meta did, was sort of integrate Threads into Instagram, because, all in your notifications, you get, so-and-so is having this conversation on Threads, so-and-so having this conversation on Threads, even within the feed, there's sort of that full Threads integration, if you will. So you get tricked, if, for lack of a better word, into sort of engaging with the platform even when you don't want to. I don't always go over there, but if in my notifications, my mentions, somebody that I follow is saying something over there that I may want to kind of check out, I will go over there. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Threads, but I think that integration was a smart thing for them to do. That Instagram integration was really smart. I'm wondering though, and I suppose it's a matter of familiarity, maybe, because what happened to Blue Sky? Like, Blue Sky was supposed to be the response, the anti-Twitter, where everybody was friendly, and the federated protocol was going to make it so that you had to be nice, and you couldn't just say whatever you wanted because you'd be identified, and Threads just kind of took that spot.
So what some people will say is that, well, you really can't say that Threads is doing as well as Threads is doing because they had an unfair advantage. And it's like, that's not how you really should look at it. They had an advantage. and they used the advantage. The advantage was having the second biggest social media platform on earth called Instagram. And they used that to launch pad Threads. Now, if you are someone who doesn't have billions of people who are using one of your social media platforms, then you might say, well, yeah, that's not fair. But it's not about necessarily being fair. It's about, we have,
it is what it is.
Meta is Facebook. Meta is Instagram. They were able to use that to launch Threads to try to go out there and compete with at the time, Twitter, eventually X, and compete with that. And it's like, we need to use every opportunity we can to get as many people on this platform as we possibly can. So you asked about Blue Sky. Blue Sky was also in this similar web report. Blue Sky is not doing all that great. Their numbers are actually down. So fewer people are using, they're growing, but they're growing very, very slowly, and fewer people are actually using them than were using them a year ago.
It's too much friction. You got to make it easy for people. Like, you're not going to go off platform. Like, I don't understand. And I mean, I guess you could say that about TikTok's technically off platform if you talk about it in the context of Instagram and Threads and Meta and Twitter, but it's an entirely separate platform. I think the problem was, I guess it was the blessing and the curse was that Blue Sky was trying to be this Twitter alternative, so the interface looked very similar. They set it up so that you had the whole same look and feel of a Twitter, but you had to open up a whole new app to do it. Whereas, Threads did the same thing and you don't have to do anything. There's no friction to get to it. So they kind of just lost out because Threads came along and said, we're going to do it too.
Now, here's the thing with Blue Sky. I like Blue Sky. There's nothing wrong with it, but Blue Sky has the disadvantage of other brand new startup social media platforms. It takes a long time to get to hundreds of millions of users. It takes a long time to get to billions of users, unless, of course, you already have billions of users. And that's what Meta has done. Meta has said that, you know what? We got Instagram. Instagram is for pictures and video for the most part. Video and pictures probably at this point. But we got a lot of people to use it. But there's a whole lot of folks that are complaining about they don't like X anymore. They don't like Twitter anymore. So what can we do? Let's build a clone of that. This is something that they do. This is not an unmeta thing to do. Let's look and see what else is hot. And if we can't buy them, let's build something similar to them.
That's it.
That's what they're doing.
That's it. But the little guy is going to get shut out. So, and that's exactly what's happening to Blue Sky. It's unfortunate because I feel like their motivations were altruistic, and I think they really are trying to develop, build a better mousetrap, basically. But it's just going to be hard to get people to leave the comfort of what they already know to go over there without. There's not a lot of incentive in going there right now.
And I will say it like this, because I think there actually is. What the difference is that you're talking about tens of millions of users on Blue Sky. You're talking about hundreds of millions of users daily just in the mobile app on Threads. So when you look at it like that, it's just that Threads was just able to grow so much faster because of its built-in advantages of having Instagram as its back end, and then having, one of the biggest companies. Here's what Blue Sky is not: one of the biggest companies on earth. Meta is one of the biggest companies on earth. It's part of the Magnificent Seven for a reason.
I would push back on that a little bit, in just that I still sort of hold to the idea, like, yes, obviously Threads is just, kind of a dongle hanging off of Instagram at this point. But there still wasn't enough about Blue Sky, enough uniqueness, I will say, about Blue Sky to move people off platform in the same way that there was a uniqueness in TikTok. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the amount of people that were on Musically before it became TikTok was a drop in the
Right.
bucket compared to where TikTok is right now. And you can say TikTok was a huge Chinese company and all those Chinese users, sort of buoyed up the American users. I would argue against that as well. I just feel like TikTok offered something so unique,
Hmm.
that the adoption, the flood of adoption kind of came there, and the fact that you could be discovered, discoverability was really is
Hmm.
still very high, and all of that good stuff, and the monetization was already built in. So in a sense, they did have a lot of stuff built in, um, you know, based on Musically, based on Douyin, and what China already had set up, that Blue Sky just wasn't able to do right away. But I'll still say there wasn't enough difference. There wasn't enough uniqueness to Blue Sky. And I mean, they tried to push like the security of it, the whole blockchain, and people just don't get that yet.
No.
You know what I mean? I think there will come a time when we are going to understand what all of that means, and we're going to look for platforms that have that, but not yet. It's not here yet. So there wasn't enough of a differentiator for Blue Sky to make people move off platform to use it,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that I will agree with, because it was unlike anything else.
Right.
TikTok was its own thing, so much so that you got Instagram say, "Hey, let's copy and do what TikTok is doing. We got
Exactly.
Reels and all that kind of stuff." And then it even got YouTube to say, "You know what? We have been the king of horizontal video forever, but you know what? Let's make YouTube shorts,
Let's throw some
because
shorts up in there.
TikTok
Exactly.
is kind of killing it in the game." So there is that. And when you look at Blue Sky or Mastodon or Threads, what is the first thing you think of? Oh, this is like a replacement for Twitter.
Hmm.
TikTok wasn't a replacement for anything. It was just a thing that people thought was really cool.
Right.
So that
Right.
that puts you a bit behind. So that being said, I think that Blue Sky is doing okay. It's not like this company is in fear of going out of business or anything like that. It's just that they're dealing with
Eh,
millions of users, not
right.
hundreds of millions, not billions, not yet. And it
You're
probably
like, meh.
may never get there. I don't know that it'll ever get there. I just by the time it gets to that size, or could get to that size, we'll have moved on to the next thing. So I think that it is a very, very good application. If you've got a community on there, there are some things that I use Blue Sky for, that the only place I'm having those conversations is on Blue Sky, but it is
Right.
really limited, because it's like
It is.
it's pretty limited. It's like you can have a conversation about anything on Threads at this point, because there's just so many hundreds of millions of people who are using the platform.
So let me ask you this. This is just a whole hypothetical, sort of related, but not really. Just off topic. Do you think Vine could have been TikTok had it lasted? Because I feel like they could have extrapolated their feature set to get to where TikTok is right now. I mean, Vine was all about the, you know, what, 6 seconds or 6 minutes
Mhm.
of video, 6 second video, whatever. I think they could have eventually extrapolated that to become very TikTok esque,
Yeah, that's
and
one of those
and
hindsight
grown
20 type
in that
things.
size, like, because I mean, I see so many videos on TikTok where all of the comments are like, this would have done numbers on Vine, this would have done numbers
Right,
on Vine, this would have killed it on Vine, this would have went viral on Vine, and people are still making that type of
right.
content, and TikTok is the place where that type of content can live and grow and be popular. So I feel like had Vine lasted, it could be the TikTok of today.
This is going to sound like a crappy answer. My answer to your question is no, it couldn't have, because if it could have, it would have, and it didn't. So
I mean,
it,
obviously, but I'm just
so like,
saying.
Vine was the thing, but it didn't make it, and it was like, okay, maybe they just didn't have the foresight. Maybe we need to make these things 30 seconds. Maybe we need to make them a minute. All the decisions that they didn't make, that led to the divide to the demise of Vine is what actually happened to Vine, and that allowed a TikTok to come in and be there.
Obviously, because it's not here. I'm just saying
yeah.
it could have been positioned like, because Vine was a Jack Dorsey product too,
Yeah.
right? So I just think he just bailed too quick, or just didn't have the vision.
That's his thing, though. He gets in there, starts these things up with the initial idea, and then he's off to the next thing.
On to the next. Yeah.
So
had he hung in there,
I'm not going to put that on him, though, because that's what he's always done. He gets in, gets them started, gets a lot of buzz, and then they go do what they do. He's on to the next thing. That's kind of always been his modus operandi. So, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Vine could have been the thing. It wasn't, though. So it's like, I always try to, it's not even devil's advocate. It's like, well, if you would have done all the things that TikTok did, you could have been TikTok.
There were a lot of people that, had built huge followings on that platform that had to migrate to TikTok and start over basically. And it just sucks that they didn't have the foresight to evolve.
Right. So, what else is evolving, Steph?
Come on, segue.
OpenAI is evolving, because OpenAI is like, ads are here now. So this is one. He was like, Rob, I know it's after 5, but this one, I just saw it. I think this is a good one that we need to talk about. And it is a good one. So what we have known was going to happen for some time. I think from the time that we saw ChatGPT, we knew they're gonna figure out how to put ads in this at some point. But that is not what they're doing. You will see ads in the free account and the Go accounts for ChatGPT.
Right. And that was in a blog post published on Friday. The company confirmed that it plans to begin testing ads in ChatGPT for U.S. users on the free and Go tiers, while promising that paid tiers like Pro, Business, and Enterprise will remain ad-free. OpenAI insists this isn't a betrayal of trust, but a trade-off. And they say, quote, as ChatGPT becomes more capable and widely used, we're looking at ways to continue offering more intelligence to everyone, end quote, the company wrote, framing ads as a way to expand access without forcing users to pay. The company also stressed a hard line between answers and advertising, saying users need to trust that ChatGPT's responses are, quote, driven by what's objectively useful, never by advertising, end quote, and that conversations will not be shared or sold to advertisers. I do not believe that for one moment, like at all. And the article goes on to say, this is from Mashable. The article goes on to say that reassurance comes after a messy few months. In December, ChatGPT users flooded social media with screenshots of chatbot responses that suggested apps, stores, or products entirely unrelated to their prompt. OpenAI pushed back, saying those were just poorly timed suggestions, but the distinction didn't land. Even users paying $200 per month for ChatGPT Pro said the experience felt off. So yeah, I don't believe that one bit, that they're not going to sell our information, that our chats are going to be private, that, they won't show you an ad in response to your prompt question. Like, I don't believe any of that for 1 minute. Once you open that ad floodgate, all bets are off.
I believe that that's what they said. I believe that that's what they said. So here's my thought on this.
Don't you believe it?
ChatGPT, using that product, it's like we get so spoiled on these tools that are I'm doing the air quotes of free for people who can't see me right now. We get spoiled because we think that, it was always free, therefore it should always be free. And It's like, no, what OpenAI has been doing is what the drug dealer does. It's like the first hit, is always free. And
like Chris Rock said, they get you on the comeback.
So here's the thing. We have been saying this on this show for years. When you don't pay for something, you are not a customer. You are a product.
That's it.
So just like with Google, you like to go to the oracle of all knowledge and ask it things, and it gives you back web pages to go that roughly answer the things you asked it for. That's all fine and dandy, but they're going to use everything that they know about you to ultimately sell you products, because that's how they make their money. They are going to run ads right next to the search results. They are going to put ads right there at the top of the search results, over to the right of the search results. They're going to be there. This is how Google has become the second most, the second biggest market cap company on earth, behind NVIDIA, by selling ads. That is the way they make most of their money. The AdSense program.
ChatGPT is always the revenue model for all of these. But that's what people don't understand. It's like, I don't know. I don't think people really have a fundamental understanding of these companies. I think because they position themselves as quote unquote tech companies, you don't necessarily associate that with ads and advertising. Like those two things seem sort of diametrically opposed to each other, marketing and tech. And I don't think people truly understand on a fundamental level how these companies make money. Because the money just seems very ephemeral, right? You're getting you have $1 billion valuation, which doesn't mean a whole lot except on paper. And they just raised $100 million on a $500 million value. Like, that stuff just seems very fake. Honestly, it just seems very made up. None of it seems real. It's all on paper. But you hear these numbers, you hear these huge numbers, and you just think that these tech companies get money by raising money. And that's how they make their money. They make their money off of venture capitalists that give them money because their valuations are so high. And that's not how they make money. That's how they get money to do things and to expand and to scale and to add employees. But that's not how they make money. And, fundamentally, most, if not all of them, make money on ads. There's some portion of the revenue that comes from subscriptions, because some people like you and I will pay the $20 for the upgraded subscription. But, you would need tens of millions of people to pay $20 a piece to be a profitable company. And that's just not a realistic expectation to have when you still offer a free tier of a product. So there is no other way, honestly, to make money that I can think of. I mean, you can go an enterprise route and try to charge corporations way more than you charge individuals or whatever. But for these types of platforms, there just isn't any other way for them to make money.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what these platforms are there for. The users are that's the data that, we are the data for these platforms. If we take it all the way back to Facebook being, it's not the first social media network, but it's definitely the biggest. It's the old school. And it's like, this is the one that folks our age and even our parents are actively using. It's been around forever, but they've got billions of users. They've got data on billions of people. There's only 7.8 billion people on the planet, and Facebook knows about 2.9 billion of them.
Right,
they have created accounts. So the way that they make their money is by having information about you and knowing where you live and what kind of things you like to drive and what kind of clothes you like to wear and what kind of soap you buy and all these things. And they say, hey, advertiser, I have a really nice profile on this group of people. Would you like to put your ads in front of them and potentially sell them something? And those companies say, yeah, you know what? I think I would. And why do they do that? Because it works for them. They, the companies that are advertising to you make money off of you. I know I used to think this before I got into sales years ago. You mean you ain't selling me nothing, man? You know, you as a salesperson is not doing anything to sell me, and
They're selling you everything.
Is so not true. It's like no, these a good salesperson, a good marketing person, they know what buttons to push to get you to show some interest in something that you've already showed some interest in, and they know, you know, if I put this in front of you, you know, 3 times, you'll notice it on the 3rd time, and by the 5th to 7th time, you'll either hate it. Or you'll be interested enough to, you know what? I keep seeing this. Let me go check this out. And that's how they get you. Once you go check it out, they got you. That's not a, you know, we want to say that that's a bad thing. It's manipulative. No, it's not a bad thing. It's like, I appreciate a good salesperson that puts the right stuff in front of me that saves me time. You know, that is something that I've come to in my early 50s.
In a way, but it also promotes over consumerism because they're putting stuff in front of us that we don't need, and they're using, you know, industrial psychology tactics to get us to feel that we need to buy these things.
There's that.
Know? So it's not all just, let me show you stuff that I know you want to see.
No, it's their business. This is what they.
That's their. And so I just push back a little bit on that whole idea that you're not being manipulated, because you are in some sense. You know, nobody's holding a gun to your head and making you buy the stuff. However, again, industrial psychology dictates that we gonna make it so that you think you need. Like I think about the scene in Devil Wears Prada when Anne Hathaway's character is wearing that blue sweater, and Meryl Streep's character is like, you think you picked that blue sweater out of a bargain bin at some casual corner, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, that sweater was shown on this runway in this season, and then it went to this runway, and then it went to this store, and then it funneled down to here, there, and you're wearing it because of a decision made by the people in this room. So, you know, it's like we're in the Matrix. It's like all of our thoughts are being, you know, given to us, honestly, in some sense, at least as far as commerce goes. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us can just say we woke up one day and said, oh, maybe I should go buy this thing. Like that just doesn't, I don't think that happens, honestly.
And it's that kind of thing is going to start happening on OpenAI. And I know folks saying it's not fair. It's not fair. And it's like, I hear you saying that. I don't necessarily know that I agree with it, because it's like, I know what the deal is. It's like they put out the donuts and the candy and the cookies to get you to where you really like using ChatGPT. And they've been saying for years now, hey, you can give me $20 a month or $200 a month, depending on which account you want, if you want to get more of this. But if you know what, if you don't, fine, just continue to use this. Oh, by the way, we're going to serve up ads, because it really is. It is not inexpensive. It's not an inexpensive proposition for you to use this platform and never have your data used for anything other than benefiting you. That's not how, these companies work. So, Steph, I think here's what's happening with your, with your camera. I think it's timing. I think it's timing out after so many minutes. So you probably need to turn it back off and then turn it back on, and we'll figure out a few.
Oh no, I just need to hit the shutter.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
I didn't have to turn it on. I just had to hit the shutter. So yeah, I'll have to look at that setting, because I have it. I have the hardwire battery in here, so it's not like the battery is wearing out. It's plugged in. But to your point, the screen's probably timing out. And I just hit the shutter. So I'll go in and change that.
So it's probably a setting
for the next time. Yeah. I do want to read this last thing from the article, though. OpenAI says ads will be clearly labeled, placed separately from responses, and initially shown only when there's a, quote, relevant sponsored product or service tied to a conversation. So initially shown only when there's a relevant sponsored product or service tied to a conversation. Users will be able to dismiss ads or turn off personalization entirely, and ads won't appear for accounts under 18 or near sensitive topics like health or politics.
I honestly can't complain about anything that OpenAI has said, coming from the lens that I always thought that this is what they were going to do. I always
Well,
thought
they
this is,
had to.
I always
Yeah.
thought that this, it's really expensive for them to just allow people to continue to use this for free. How does Google do what Google does with search without getting
Right.
something on the back end? Well, no, they get something on the back end.
Exactly.
They get so much money that, no, clearly, the ads is not the only way that Google makes money, but it's one of the big ones. It is
Right.
one of there's a lot of things that Google will give up before they give up AdSense. I can guarantee you. They make
And
a lot of money,
considering
and so will
OpenAI
OpenAI.
was trying to get $1 trillion from somebody,
Seven trillion.
right, you got to make some money some kind of way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, this was inevitable.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
and
imagine that they will do it in a way that won't, here's the thing. What OpenAI doesn't want to do is they don't want to, because they're now putting ads in here, all of their free users just stop using the service. They don't want that.
right.
That is not a tenable situation.
And I
for
don't
them.
think that's going to happen.
So I think
honestly.
they're going to do it in a tasteful enough way, and like they all know that we're conditioned to ads. And if you think about what Google is doing, if you don't want YouTube ads, you can just give Google some money every month, and you can watch YouTube without having ads in it. They give you an option for that, and OpenAI is doing that as well. If you don't want ads to ever show up, just get a pro account.
$20. That's all.
That's all we want. And truth be told, my gut tells me they probably make more money off of the people who use the free account with the ads eventually than they do off of the people paying $20 a month.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be.
I would imagine that they will.
Yeah. You're going to get way more value out of showing people ads than you ever would getting the subscriptions. It's just not enough people that are going to be willing to pay that. The same with any other social media platform.
So, Steph, this last thing that I wanted to talk about, this isn't really even a story. It's just I was just kind of thinking about it, and this is just a discussion. But we have now been talking about ChatGPT. We've been talking about large language models for just over 3 years. It's crazy to think that it was just November of 2022 when we first heard the term ChatGPT, unless you were really in the know. Nika might have heard of it because that's what she does for a living, but us regulars did not hear about ChatGPT.
Right.
And, we heard the name, maybe OpenAI, but we didn't know that what was coming. But it's been 3 years. And my question for you is AI what you thought it was going to be? Is it more than you thought it was going to be? Or was it just hype and it's not really living up to what you thought? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think it has realized has not realized its full potential. I don't even know that it's realized the potential that we would have expected to see at this point. With the rate of hallucinations that are still out there. And then, with the way, and I feel like this is probably tied to the way society is going right now. Because I feel like, had we been living in a different time, i.e. with a different administration, we would have seen a difference in how this tool evolved. Like I said, right now, the biggest story around AI is Grok taking clothes off of little kids. And nudifying little kids. Honestly, that's what it's doing. That's what people are using it for. I feel like the tech is going to go as society goes. We haven't seen the huge medical benefits we thought we were going to get from it. We haven't cured the common cold yet, or sequenced an entire DNA strand, or we've not done. We were getting close, and scientists are still using it for all of those things, and I think we will get there. But I feel like we should have been a little further along in what the tool can do to benefit society than we are. I think individuals have found use cases for it within their own, industries and for their own benefit. But I feel like, in a larger sense, we haven't seen the the whole point, like you think back to how, OpenAI started as a nonprofit, and it was going to be governed by this board, and there was a, like, they set it up with this hugely altruistic vision for what they thought artificial intelligence was going to be able to do and how it was going to be able to help society. And I don't think we're anywhere near that right now. I think, because we are at a time and place in society that we are in, I think people took it and ran with it in the opposite direction of that. And hopefully we will be able to get some reins around it before it completely goes off that cliff. So yeah, that's what I think. I think the potential is still there. I think, all of the promises that were made are still able to be fulfilled at some point. But I think with the way we are going, and in government regulation as well, like, if our environment holds before, until we can get to that point where AI is actually, net positive. But will that happen? Will these data centers ravage the neighborhoods and the environment to where, we can't even take advantage of it anymore? So it just, I just think it's not necessarily a dream deferred. That's not the word the phrase I'm looking for, but it's a potential that hasn't yet been realized.
So here's my thought on it, and it differs from yours, I would say, quite a bit. I think that AI is actually turning out to be bigger than I thought it was going to be. I thought that AI, when I really, not when I first heard ChatGPT, but within 6 months, and I'm seeing just how fast that companies are iterating on this, how Google said, we are now, this is, we have to get this figured out for our company. And you saw a company the size of Alphabet literally I want to say turn on the dime, because it was stuff they were working on already, but they really, really, really focused on AI. When I look at all that, I think that there's more to come. Now, I think that we are getting kind of close to the top of that sine curve. I think that we're probably, 2026 will be the year, maybe 2027 will be the year when we actually crest, and maybe there's a little bit of fall off on the other end. But my initial thought of this is that, this is going to be as disruptive to the world as cell phones. And now I'm thinking,
Absolutely.
that no, it's even more so than that. I think it's more on the level of as disruptive to the world as the internet actually was. I think that this is literally one of the biggest things in computing that we will see in our lifetime. So
Absolutely. I think it's like a second or third, or I don't know where we are. Like, if you look at the Industrial Revolution, I think it's you know tantamount to an industrial revolution.
right.
I just don't think we have realized all of the potential that we were promised yet.
No.
That's
And I just think that stuff is still working on, because we have to remember, man, it's 3 years old. It's a toddler still, technically. I mean, this thing, they haven't even got to kindergarten yet, as far as the
right.
age of this and how fast it is being iterated. So I think it is here to stay. I don't think it's changing. I was just reading an article. I think that Howard University this semester, spring
They
2026
just
semester,
offered,
they
a
just offered
class.
a class in AI. This to me is going to be the thing going forward. And over the holidays, I've had the opportunity to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people that I will call the regulars, not the folks like us that are literally sleeping, breathing, eating tech all day long and then getting on podcasts and talking about it at night, but just regular people who are doing what they're, just living their daily lives.
Right.
And if you're not in school, or you don't work, and you're not an information worker in the sense that you use computers to do your job every day and have a fair amount of autonomy on there, there's still a lot of folks who just really don't know what AI is. We had a good conversation, and while we were off, with Nika Montford, and this was one of the things that she talked about, a few episodes ago. And there are a lot of people who just don't know what AI is. So I was listening to somebody talk, and it's like, you keep telling me you got to get on board with AI, but what does that really mean? What do you mean get on board with AI? And it's like, oh, you need to be doing all these things with AI. It's like, oh, what things? What things do I need to be doing as a regular person with AI that I wasn't doing before? And I think
Right.
sometimes we get, we get lost in the shuffle kind of, so to speak. There's a lot of folks who don't just live and breathe computers all day. They're not trying to use spreadsheets in their daily life if they don't do it at work. They're not trying to use personal productivity tools in their daily life if it's not something they do at work. So just to say, oh, you need to get on board with AI, is kind of almost an empty statement. And I think what you're going to start to see is that, what companies behind AI are going to do is not going to be AI. It's going to be, this tool can do this thing that makes your life better. And I think you're going to see more productization of AI. I think you're going to see more. It's basically, I think we're going to lose all of the, AI and, I'm probably making this up, but I think I saw some Lucky Charms with AI yesterday. Right. I think that's kind of going to start waning, and it's going to be more, here is, this stuff is just now built into Google Workspace. This stuff is just built into Office. This stuff is just built into Adobe.
I don't disagree with that, but the fatalist in me, and I'm not a pessimist. That's the crazy part. I don't consider myself a pessimist, but the fatalist in me feels like, will we get there before a catastrophic event? Because I look at right now the type of content on the internet and the level of deep fakes that are out there. And, did you see the movie, The Mountainhead?
You've mentioned it multiple times now, so I think I need to go watch it, because
you definitely do. And because basically what happened was that, like, these 4 tech giants that obviously were meant to represent Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, like the 4 main Sergey, the whole line. So these 4 tech giants, tech bros, meet up at the one guy's like Swiss chalet or he has some place way up in the mountains somewhere, like way far away from everything. And they get helicoptered in to this guy's place. And they're 2 of them have sort of an ulterior motive, because one guy perfected the ability to create deep fakes and deep fake videos and everything, and basically started all kind of civil wars and revolutions all around the world, because people are looking at these videos thinking some stuff is going down, and now folks is rioting and the world is burning basically. And one of the other guys actually developed a tool that, with 99.99999% accuracy can spot a deep fake. And so the other guy wants him to sell him his tool so he can, number one, take the heat off himself for building this tool that has caused the world to come crashing down. But the other guy doesn't want to do it. He's like, nah, you built that shit, live with it. You know what I mean? And deal with the mess you made, basically. And so some other stuff happens, but that's kind of one of the crux of one of the plot lines in the movie, in the main plot line. And so that's kind of the way I see where we are when I talk about, AI in its current place in our society. That's kind of the way I see it. Like, will we even get to where you see it, where it's ubiquitous and it just makes our lives easier because it's in everything and you don't need to actually call it out because it's just there in the background, doing what it's supposed to do, making stuff work better, yada, yada, yada. Will we even get there because of the way we're using it currently? And will that cause a catastrophic event that leaves us in a place where we can't, we're going to need to know how to make a fire with 2 sticks together. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to stay optimistic and positive about it, but I guess the realist in me, hopes that we get ourselves together.
Yeah, I made some predictions for some of the things that I think are going to come out this year. And one of them is going to be, I think we're going to start hearing the term NFT again. Not in the way that we used to hear, I think, but that ledger system, the way that blockchain works, it is really good for proving provenance, who did something first. And I think what you're going to start saying is that here's a video from, I don't even want to say 60 Minutes anymore because I ain't even feeling CBS like that since Ari Weiss took over. That's a whole other conversation. But let's just say a news organization that you trust. When they put something out, they're going to literally put a stamp on it that says that this is us. We actually really did this. This is real.
And we verified that this is authentic.
I think blockchain is a great way for that. I think you're going to see that. But we are now in a world. Groucho Marx, I believe, said this first in a movie back from the 50s, if I remember correctly. But I like to go with Richard Pryor saying this back in the 80s. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? And that means something different now, because it's like I have a video that I created in VO2, I think it is, that is me wearing a nice suit with a nice fedora walking down the street. It looks like me, it sounds like me, and it fooled my parents. So son, that's a nice suit. That ain't even me. And then when he really looked at it, it's like, this is AI?
Your AI twin. That's blowing up now, because now everybody on the internet is an AI expert, and they teaching folks how to build their AI twins. I just saw probably 3 or 4 different people in my Instagram feed talking about, don't get left behind, make your AI twin. I'm like, here we go.
That stuff I think is faddish. And Terrance, I wish he was here to talk about this, because I think he's dead on this. It's like, I ain't got time for none of that. All that stuff is going to get washed out. He says it like this: when it is what it's going to be, let me know, and that's when I'll get on board. He has consistently said that from week one when we started talking about it, and I think he's right on it. So I think about all of that. You can make $1,000 a day doing these AI videos and this and that and the other. I think all of that's going to go away, because those are pyramid schemes looking for suckers.
And the backlash is already here. People are already saying the new currency in content creation is authenticity. People want authentic. You got to be authentic. Just be your regular self. You can't forget AI. So we're already seeing that backlash happen.
So yeah, but I think it is here to stay. And I think that this year into next year is when we're going to start to see the new toyness kind of fade off of it. And
the new car smell is going to go away.
So when I see Howard is now offering intro to artificial intelligence as an actual college credit course, I think we need to start looking at that, because it's like, here's the thing.
Absolutely. And they're I'm not gonna say they're late, because they're not, but I was actually looking at a class Rutgers was offering last year. Rutgers and maybe Johns Hopkins or whatever. But it's not going anywhere. I will say that. If you're talking about the prediction, it's definitely not going anywhere.
It is already affecting people's jobs. We hear of people who are losing their jobs, not necessarily directly to AI. Some probably it will be a direct result. Hey, we got rid of this call center because we're going to use AI for
automate everything.
But I think what the real thing is that you're not necessarily going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who knows how to use AI, and you don't. So
absolutely.
I do believe that it is something that we cannot ignore. It is not a fad. Just like if you ignore what a piece of glass that you can touch and play games on and get information, to all things that ever happened in the world. If you miss that, you are BlackBerry. You literally, you miss out on that. What happened to BlackBerry happens to you. What happened to Palm happens to you. What happens to Windows Phone happens to you. There's a reason why iPhone and Android is dominating right now, because they saw the vision of what could be and have gone with it. And I think that we need to look at AI the same way. It ain't going anywhere. It's only going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So Steph, we don't have a spotlight this week, but I do want to highlight a spotlight that we did. We're going to talk about Dr. Gladys Mae West. Believe it or not, this was one of the first spotlights we did. This goes all the way back to week 17 of the show. This is episode 211 tonight. We go back to week 17. So that was well within year one of the show. But the reason I want to bring up Dr. Gladys Mae West is because all the way back in episode 17, we talked about she is an American mathematician known for her contributions to the mathematical modeling of the shape of the Earth. And basically her models were used to essentially develop the GPS system. Well,
Right.
Dr. Mae West, at 95 years old, she just passed away Saturday. So I just wanted
I
to,
saw that. Yeah.
give her a shout out, give her flowers. And it's another thing that we do these spotlights fairly regularly, probably, once a quarter or so, we knock them out, and we're going to get back to doing them regularly as well.
We will. That's on me. I will go ahead
I can do
and
them
take
just as easy as you can
take
do.
the
But
blame.
we've done a lot of them, so there's a lot of folks that we've covered. We got to let some new stuff to get invented. But one of the things that has always stood out to me is that so many of the people that we're talking about are still walking around. Now, Dr. Mae West is, she was 95, so she was up there. Hopefully she lived a nice full life. But yeah, it's like, we lost a tech giant. She was not one of the original Hidden Figures, but, it was one of her sorors. She's an AKA that kind of was just like, she was at an event and was looking, it's like, why aren't more people talking about this? You developed GPS and a ton of other things that she's done. Why don't more people know about this? So one of her sorors literally started, wrote something on it, and she started, oh, wait a minute. This woman right here, she is all over the tech space, right. And she started to get her flowers in her later years. So like I said, I just wanted to, shout her out. She passed away 2 days ago at the ripe age of 95 years young. And so, like I said, it's not another spotlight. I do have it linked here in our show notes. I'll put it in the show notes for anybody who wants to go read it. But Dr. Gladys Mae West, and like I said, she was instrumental in the development of the global positioning system, or GPS.
Rest in peace, Queen.
So, Tech Life Steph, this was a 2-person show. I thought it was going to be quick. It wasn't. we went an hour and 15 minutes.
We know how to run our mouths.
We showed up do. I enjoyed getting your camera together and have you looking all great on screen. And I'm crispy. Like, okay, now I got to go get me some lasers and stuff to see if I can.
Nice and crispy. Wait till I get my light. Oh, it's going to be on and popping, boy. Listen.
But tell folks how they can get at you.
So I have some news to share. I probably should have shared it just at the top of the show, but I am getting my own radio show.
What?
I am. So WURD is one of only three Black-owned talk radio stations in the country. So there were many back in the day, but there are only 3 left. I don't know the other 2, forgive me. But WURD in Philadelphia is one of the 3 Black-owned talk radio stations left in the country. And I will be doing a show, Life and Tech with Tech Life Steph, every Sunday from 11 a.m. to noon. And my first show starts this Sunday, January 25th.
Way to bury the lead, Tech Life. If you're going to lead us to the end of the show, you got it.
I know. I'm so bad about promoting myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I know you have worked hard and you deserve it.
So. I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I will be having you on. So get ready for the call. When we do our podcast episode, I will definitely have you on, because I'm tapping into my entire network of people, because it'll be it's on the radio. So 900 AM, 96.1 FM in the Philadelphia area, in the greater Philadelphia region, but also streaming on wordradio.com. Word is WURD. So wordradio.com. And we'll be streaming on their Facebook page. I'll probably be streaming from my Instagram. So it's going to stream. It's online. It's on the radio. It's everywhere you want to get. So I will definitely be calling in all my favors to all my tech peeps to come and chop it up with me for a little bit on the radio show.
You know, I like to talk, number 1. And number 2, I got to face radio. So, So call, and your call will be answered. I'll show up whenever you need me to. So that is so awesome. I wish you would have put that at the top of the show, but
I didn't think of it till just now. I was like, yeah, I guess I should mention that there's a whole radio show coming up on Sunday. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm glad to be speaking to my peoples, number 1. And my only motivation for this entire career has been to help people understand technology.
Mhm.
And, if I can do that for my community, and I mean, everybody else is welcome, that, we're not excluding anybody, but, if I can target my community and help us, all the better. So it really is sort of that, I won't say full circle moment necessarily, but, definitely sort of drives home the why for me in being able to do this show. And I hope to grow it and expand it, possibly syndicate it. I'm always looking for sponsors. Comcast is our title sponsor for the show, but I'm always looking for more sponsors. So if anybody's listening, would love to sponsor the show and the podcast. So yeah, I'm just excited. It's been something I've been working towards, for a while, just kind of the idea of having my own show, and being able to kind of dictate direction and tone and content and all that good stuff. Cause they're pretty much just kind of let me run with this hour. So yeah, I'm hyped.
That is so awesome. I am hyped for you and excited for you. So we will definitely be tuning in. So folks, I am on all the things at Robb Dunewood, and we're also on all the things at the Tech Jawn, the Tech JAWN. So come holler at us however you holler. And until we meet again in a week's time, peace.
Peace.